Today we have the all-new Cadillac LYRIQ. In this video I'll talk about what the LYRIQ is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Now, General Motors is taking electrification seriously, and Cadillac, moving forward, will only be introducing fully electric vehicles. The LYRIQ, their newest midsize SUV, shows in a way what the brand's future will look like and what to expect. So, let's talk about it. Based on a dedicated EV platform called Ultium, which will underpin a lot of vehicles from GM as well as Honda, the LYRIQ features a 102 kWh battery pack that can be combined with two powertrains. A 340 horsepower single-motor rear-wheel drive, offering up to 314 miles on full charge, and a dual-motor all-wheel drive with 500 horsepower and 307 miles of range. Those numbers are pretty respectable, but how about charging? Well, there's nothing to complain about either. A level 2 charger lets you add up to 51 miles per hour of charge, and a DC fast charging should give you about 77 miles of range in about 10 minutes. Now, before we talk how it all works together and what it's like to drive a rear-wheel drive variant with 340 horsepower, let's jump inside and talk about the interior space. Now, I have to applaud Cadillac for making an electric vehicle that is easy to use. You see, brands like Tesla, Volvo, or even BMW are taking a minimalistic approach when designing their cabins, removing physical controls and heavily relying on touchscreens. And yes, that declutters the interior, but it has a negative impact on using the car while driving, as you have to take your eyes off the road and sometimes jump from one menu to another to the basic functions. Cadillac knows that's not the way to go, and while they reduce the amount of buttons, we still get a separate panel with HVAC controls, haptic panels for all core functions, and what's important, a controller for the infotainment system. For the most part, the cabin feels expensive and everything you interact with has a good sense of quality, with the exception of that controller, which feels like it was taken from a $20,000 car. It feels very flimsy, and it's not the first time I experienced this in a Cadillac product. A 33-inch diagonal display combines your customizable digital cluster and the infotainment system. We've seen something very similar before in the Escalade, but unlike the bigger brother with a screen built in the OLED technology, the LYRIQ gets a regular LED display. Anyways, the Google-based operating system is great. The graphical interface is one of the best in the industry, the menu structure is logical, we get Google Maps for navigation, and the gauge cluster lets you display a full-screen map, and it provides you with all the information you need. The stepping height is nice and easy, and the front seats are fine. Not necessarily supportive, but they offer good comfort and a simple massage. Now, moving to the back, this is where the LYRIQ shines. You get all you need: an enormous headroom and legroom, third zone climate control, couple of charging ports, and a flat floor, making it a comfortable space even for 3 passengers. The trunk is also very spacious and practical, offering 61 cubic feet of space with all seats down. Alright, so that was the interior of the Cadillac LYRIQ. Let's get it on the road now and see how it drives. After setting off in the LYRIQ, you feel right away that you're driving a Cadillac. The accelerator has been tuned in a way to allow you for the smoothest acceleration possible, the brake pedal lets you gracefully slow down, and all the inputs require minimal effort, and the LYRIQ is a super isolating vehicle. You don't hear anything, nor do you feel much. The cabin with active noise cancellation is one of the quietest I've ever been in. The suspension does a phenomenal job absorbing road imperfections despite conventional setup, and you're surrounded by a cabin that has very pleasing design and high quality materials that feel nice when you interact with them. As a powertrain, despite 340 horsepower in the rear-wheel drive variant that I tested, the Caddy doesn't feel super quick, but it gives you enough power for everyday use. The one-pedal driving has been programmed very well, and if it's not your cup of tea, you can turn it off or use a region on-demand system controlled by a pedal mounted behind the wheel. The way it works is, depending on the amount of pressure you put into the pedal, the more or less region it gives you. It doesn't fully replace the brake pedal, but I found myself using it more than I thought, especially when going down a hill or when approaching a car ahead of me. So that was the new Cadillac LYRIQ. With everything we covered, let's jump to final thoughts. Cadillac is entering a new chapter as their future is going to be EV only, and they're off to a good start with the LYRIQ. It feels like a normal car that happens to be electrified, and that's what potential buyers are going to be looking for. I must admit, I didn't have many expectations as I thought this is one of the vehicles that has to exist for emission standards, but I'm pretty impressed by what Cadillac and GM have done with this thing. They put effort into designing an EV with a character that doesn't feel soulless and easily forgettable, unlike some of its competitors. There are a couple of minor tweaks that Cadillac has to make, mainly with fit and finish inside, but for a first attempt, this is a great product which, I don't say it often, is worth the money. Speaking of pricing, starts at $58,000 for a rear-wheel drive tech model, and all-wheel drive is a $3,500 option. My fully loaded single-motor luxury 3 tester was priced at $72,000. Keep in mind that as an electric vehicle, the LYRIQ qualifies for various incentives, so check the final price with your dealer. It's worth noting that the LYRIQ comes with a 4-year, 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty and an 8-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. If you have any questions about this car, drop a comment and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.